Rummey Design Associates are based in Sevenoaks, Kent, but work throughout Britain and Europe, having experience at the highest level of major international consultancy in development, design, infrastructure and environmental projects.
Our company is 15 years old now. We started in the depths of the recession, which we remember only too well. And we've grown from approximately 3 people to our current number, which is about 20 and beginning to grow quite fast. But from the earliest days, we always believed in the joining together of hopefully very high quality design abilities with an environmental awareness. So, for example, nowadays we have 2 companies, Rummey Environmental, which employs ecologists, people who are involved in environmental impact assessments. And then our other company, Rummey Design, is purely involved with urban design, landscape architecture and architecture. And we see no conflict between the two. We were very keen from the earliest days to take a broad, holistic view of design so that all issues could be weighed in the balance and that you got a broad view which we believe produces much stronger solutions.
From the beginning, the company set out to give an in-depth view of design, employing urban designers, master planners, architects, landscape architects and specialists in environmental assessment.
We employ quite deliberately quite a wide variety of people, ranging from architects, landscape architects, urban designers, ecologists, specialists in public consultation and PR. We employ a filmmaker. So we're really quite a mixed group of people within a relatively small practice still.
The firm has now split into 2 associated businesses. Rummey Design Associates, RDA, which deals with urban design and landscape architecture issues, and Rummey Environmental Limited, REL, which is an environmental consultancy.
We've won many awards, and again reflecting the multidisciplinary theme, these awards range from many civic trust commendations to an RIB award 2 years ago, which was part of a team award for our work at Coventry, to the Royal Town Planning Institute's City Centre Regeneration Award, again for the Coventry Phoenix Initiative, and this year we won 2 Bureau Awards again for regeneration. We've also won a Community Consultation Award for our work in Hastings and indeed some years ago for our work in York.
One of the major schemes with which the company has been involved is the £50 million Phoenix Initiative in Coventry. Within a 6-year period, this resulted in the creation of 4 new public gardens, as well as 2 civic squares in the heart of the city centre.
Our difference comes purely from the diversity. You will find other firms that do some of the activities that we undertake, but we try to put them all together. We really do believe in a holistic approach to design. So you will find, for example, that on a project an ecologist might be working alongside an architect, or an urban designer will be working alongside a landscape architect. All of them will be supported perhaps by specialists in public consultation or in particular filmmaking techniques, because we believe that all of these things really make a better product, if you will, at the end of the day. And I think that's one of the things which distinguishes us from other firms.
The Millennium Commission, which gave £10.75 million to the project, and the Coventry City Council were keen to see high-quality public art in the winning design.
One difference that we try to bring and do bring is the ability to raise aspirations. In regenerating communities, these are often deprived communities, otherwise there would be no need for us to be there. One often has to win hearts and minds and in the process raise aspirations.
Any plan should reflect commercial, social and environmental requirements, as well as elucidating the principles and the thinking behind the client's brief. This usually comprises of an illustrated report including maps, 3-dimensional drawings, photographs and views. The master plan will illustrate land and uses, important views and visual connections, the public realm and its potential quality, landmarks, gateways and other urban design components, among others.
I think revitalised communities means, to be taken seriously, it needs to mean that in a very broad sense. So it is a community. It does not mean revitalising the architecture or the physical structure of the place, if you like. It means revitalising the social fabric, which often means community facilities, education, health, employment. All of those things that make for a decent civilised life. It means revitalising the environment, the physical environment, which might mean transport or it might mean the local ecology. It depends on the particular issues of the place. But I think a revitalised community really means all of those things if it's to be sustainable and if it really is to be healthy in the long run rather than in a quick fix, which is something that we try to avoid. Practical and real examples of revitalising the community really spread back over a number of years to, perhaps we started in 1997 with the Phoenix Initiative in Coventry, which was a competition that we won with other consultants. It was the aim of that project was to revitalise part of Coventry city centre, which had been very badly damaged during the war and very cheaply reconstructed afterwards. The aim was to revitalise that part of the city where, frankly, very few people lived. It was full of cheaply built buildings, factories, which were not always used anymore. And the aim was to create a series of public spaces, including some quite serious expenditure on public art, to revitalise that place and make that a place that people actually wanted to go to make that place memorable. And essentially it was a series of public spaces which connected the cathedral area with the hinterland way out to the ring road, and on the way connected a number of touristic and museum attractions so that they themselves became more heavily used. That project was finally finished in 2003. It was a Millennium project. It took its theme, a walk of 1,000 years, because it really spanned from medieval times through to much more recent history and then the new millennium. And it was finished in about 2003 and as an example of regeneration has proved to be extremely effective.
While key processes will include identifying and analysing the opportunities and constraints surrounding the realisation of the proposed development, devising comprehensive and practical strategies to fulfil these opportunities and overcome the constraints, implementing the adopted strategy to a successful conclusion by way of planning, application or appeal.
That project has won many awards for regeneration, and I think a test of its success is that residents in Coventry now notice the arches, or they notice the new public squares, or they notice the fact that the BBC has moved into one suite of offices within the space. These things all make it memorable, and I think it makes people proud of the place. It raises their aspirations. Whether they always like what's being designed in the aesthetic sense, that's a little more contentious, and maybe that's a good thing, but they're certainly, I think, generally speaking, proud of it. And a test of its regenerative ability is the fact that adjacent land values have risen many times over the original base level, which means that those sites too can also be regenerated instead of being vacant or underused. And the ripple effect of the project has now spread out a long way from its original centre to the point where other sites are being regenerated, bridges are being built, flats and houses are being created, and it's all part of the regeneration, the renaissance, if you like, of that originally very ancient city.
Rummey believed that the success of a potential development is determined by its effect on the environment and surrounding communities, as well as its ability to integrate with the local urban or rural fabric. Likewise, it must result in an innovative, holistic and cost-effective response to immediate and long-term issues without compromising quality and sustainability.
Our best example is a kind of combined example that the towns, the southern coastal towns of Hastings and Dover, both of them quite well known. Perhaps Dover has a higher profile, but actually is quite deprived. Now we've worked with both local authorities there, and in both cases we've been backed by the regeneration agency CEDA, who has supplied funds, encouragement and cooperation. So we've worked with a number of agencies to help fulfil CEDA's aspiration to revitalise these coastal towns. And of course there are many along the southern English coast which need that kind of help. So we've worked with the local authorities there, we've worked with English partnerships, we've worked with CEDA, we've worked with town councils, we've worked with a number of residents groups so that we gradually build up a head of steam, if you will, whereby everybody gets involved and hopefully interested. In particular, in Dover, we've worked with an organisation called Dover Pride, which is in itself a conglomerate organisation representing a number of parties. So we've tried to be as inclusive as possible. You won't get very far if you're not, but it seems to be working. There is enthusiasm in those places for that kind of approach.
Successful regeneration and revitalisation of communities immeasurably improves the life of people living in them if done properly. But for this to be executed, those doing the revitalising and the regeneration must have knowledge and experience and be willing to pass it on to others.
Of course, part of that process is taking the local media along with you. We've had television programmes made in those places, short snippets on regional news. We've had the local print media, and we work very hard because they can be our allies, but occasionally, if you don't get it right, they can also work against you. So they're part of this rich mix of interest groups that we try and take along with us to achieve a real result.
This knowledge can also be gained by the bringing together of people with different skill sets and abilities to create a free flow of ideas, which will result in innovation and creativity, leading to new ways of doing things. This is one of the key philosophies that have brought Rummey to the very top level, involving them with the most prestigious schemes and projects.